So you're trying to scale up your high ticket program and you have a call booking funnel of which you're trying to generate as many calls as possible, where you're trying to close as many deals as possible. You might be struggling with either your lead quality, your call booking rate, maybe your show rate, or simply your close rate. Today we're going to talk about a strategy that might just be able to solve all of those things and more for good. And what's that strategy, you might ask? It's live paid events. It's a fantastic world. More than happy to tell you all about it. Wait until the very end. I'm going to give you a couple different tips that's going to make sure that if you decide to go this route, it's going to make your life way easier. All right, now before we jump into all of the goods about paid events, we have to talk about what's going on in the world of call booking funnels right now. The market's getting more and more saturated with it. To be completely honest, I've been behind a good portion of them. Man, over the last honestly, just 2 or 3 years, I've probably been behind somewhere around 100 different call booking funnels for totally different clients across the health industry, the make money online space, relationship space, you name it. I probably helped behind it. Now, fully transparent, the call booking model still works, but there are a couple really big issues that people are dealing with, especially in that revenue range of somewhere between like 700,000 to maybe like 1.5 million a year. Here's what's going on. Number one, people are dealing with lead quality issues. But why is that? Well, number one, it's because people are more, I would say, untrusting than ever before. They're more skeptical than ever before. So when people get on the phone, they're not just saying, hey, I'm ready, here's my credit card, take my information, I've watched 90 minutes of your content already, I watched the full webinar, I'm sold, Mr. Salesperson. No, they are skeptical. And so they are coming on this call with their guard up. They hardly know, like, and trust you. If anything, they hardly even know you, let alone like and trust you. And now we're trying to force people to buy some sort of a high ticket offer that's somewhere between, I don't know, $6,000 all the way up of our highest price offer that our client sells $118,000, and it's a pretty high-end mastermind. So people are not just willing and able to just simply give you their credit card information right away. They want way more nurture. They need way more nurture before they're ready to make that investment. And the state of the economy right now, not like the economy, but I mean like this high ticket space, is that people are trying to get this sale in a matter of either a one call close if you're still kind of far behind, or maybe you're selling a cheaper thing that's maybe only $1,000 or $2,000, or maybe they're having the 2-call model where, hey, you got a quick little 15 to 30 minute triage call, and then you have some sales call in the back end. And you're hoping that between that hour and a half to maybe 2 hours max, that you're nurturing this super sophisticated and rather untrusting prospect, and you're hoping that you're going to nurture them enough where they're saying, hey, yeah, here's my credit card information, take it, and run my card for $6,000 to $10,000 or something. And it's just not going to continue to scale, to be quite honest. The rate at which people are booking calls is still fine. We might find that your call booking rate is somewhere around 20 to 40%, depending on the systems that you have set up. But the show rate is dropping dramatically for a lot of different organizations. People that used to see somewhere between 70 and 80% show rates are literally seeing somewhere between 20 and 50% show rates right now. Obviously, if your sales team or you personally are taking sales calls and you have a fully booked out calendar and only 20 to 50% of people show up for your calls, now you're going to be drastically limited on the amount of money that you could make if people aren't showing up for you to actually give an offer to. So not only is show rate an issue, but then also obviously conversion rate is a huge issue as well. You personally might be a fantastic salesperson, but at the end of the day, when you're having one-on-one sales calls all day long, if someone's in their car, they're taking the sales call, or someone else you're catching in between a meeting, or someone else, they've got kids running in the background. There are things in the sales environment that you simply can't control at the end of the day, and that will naturally change your close rate on a regular basis, especially when you have different quality leads coming on in. You might have some people that were coming in from your organic content, some people coming in from paid ads, some people that you just simply cold called. It's going to be a different close rate depending on the lead source. So it's all over the place. It's a rather unpredictable process, and at the end of the day, the process, while it is fine, there's just some flaws in it. So now that we have the flaws kind of mapped out, let's actually talk about how these paid live events actually fix all of these things. And I guess before we do that, let's actually talk about what a paid live event is. It's pretty simple. It's a live event that is paid to attend. So someone has to pay for some sort of a virtual access ticket. I guess technically you could do a in-person event, but big fan of the virtual events. They are far more scalable than an in-person event. But anyway, it's where you're charging access for someone to then be able to see your virtual event. And so they have to pay to attend it. Very, very simple. And then during the time they are actually attending the event, then naturally you give them some sort of an offer to work with you in the back end. That is really nuts and bolts of how the process works, okay? But why does it work? Why does that solve for some of those issues that we were talking about before? Well, firstly, it's the lead quality issue. Like, lead quality is, I think, the biggest issue that most people face in really all of marketing. And so the lead quality, first and foremost, is solved because people are paying to attend the event. We're not giving offers to freebie seeking leads at this point. We're not giving offers to people who are absolute tire kickers who have no plan to buy anything. The only people that are even getting your high ticket offer are people who have already paid you in the first place. So that is a huge differentiator, just right from the get-go. They're people that simply trust you. They've already given you their 16-digit credit card information, and they're just trying to see, like, how can you continue to help them? Okay, so that's a huge part. I'm sure you've heard the old adage of people pay attention to what they pay for. So it's the same thing here. When they're paying you before they even learn from you in the first place, like, you're just setting up the relationship dynamic with that potential customer in a completely different light than if they just simply booked a call and they have no reason to actually show up for that call, right? So because they're now paying, you're actually going to have a much higher show rate to your virtual event. So oftentimes we see with like free webinars or free challenges or even simply sales calls, people will see, I mean, for the webinar and challenge model, for if it's free, people typically see somewhere between a 10 to a 20, maybe 25% show rate on those. And for sales calls, it could be as low as 20%, as high as maybe 70%. But when we are charging literally as low as like $7 for a ticket for your virtual event, we oftentimes see the show rate for these as low as 30 to 35%, but oftentimes closer to about 50 to even 60%, just for the show rate on these for, once again, a $7 ticket. Now, when you take that $7 ticket and you actually instead, you want to charge maybe $100 or $300 for your ticket, depending on your event, depending on who you're pitching to. We can talk about ticket pricing in another video. But when you are charging a little bit higher amount, maybe a 2 or 3 digit amount for your virtual event, you're often going to find that you'll have as low as a 50 or 60% show rate, but oftentimes higher towards maybe a 70 to 80% show rate. It's much, much more efficient just to get the show rate there. So we've already dialed in the fact that people are paying to attend. They're going to be much more likely to attend. Your show rate's now solved for. Now the next part is actually the conversion rate. And before we talk about the close, we actually have to talk about what happens before lead generation and close rate. It's the nurture. So the nurture, like once again in the sales call model, most people are relying on maybe an hour and a half worth of calls. Once again, like a half hour long triage call and an hour long close call to be able to do all of the nurturing and maybe a couple emails in between there. But when you're doing a virtual event, let's say that you do a 5-day event and you go live for 2 hours a day. Not only do you have emails leading up to the event, but you're now in front of that prospect for upwards of 10 hours of talk time where you're being able to kind of manufacture that know, like, and trust factor that we all know is necessary in order to be able to get a high ticket sale. So ultimately, you're simply accelerating that know, like, and trust factor. You're accelerating the rate at which you can nurture a prospect to the point where they trust you enough where they're happy to pay you whatever your high ticket offer is. The next point that I'd want to mention is that you're actually kind of building in social proof in these. So as compared to the one-on-one model where someone has really no idea how many other clients you have, obviously you can tell them how many clients you have or how many other people you have on the calendar, but at the end of the day, like, they don't know. You might be technically just needy and graspy and hungry for that sale because you have no one else paying you, and they don't really know. But people want to pay for services that they know other people are also paying for. People don't typically want to be the only person that's working with you. Like, typically they want to go where everyone else is already trusting a specific brand as well. And for example, in a virtual event, they can see, depending on how you want to host the virtual event, they can see how many other people are online. If you're live, you're hosting a virtual event, they can see that, you might have either tens of or hundreds of or even thousands of other people attending that virtual event with you. The most that I've personally been behind was I helped a client sell 15,000 tickets for a virtual event before. And so when they were all online, I mean, from the show rate on that, they had somewhere around 4,000 or 5,000 people showing up for that. So when you have got, 4,000 or 5,000 people online, and you're seeing that you're not the only person that's trusting this brand. There's 4,000 to 5,000 people that's listening and trusting this brand as well. It kind of eases your tension on like whether or not you can trust this person because there's just a built-in social proof within the process. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the predictable conversion rates from these events. Now, this specifically is a bit of a nuanced conversation because there are kind of two elements to it. Number one is the first time you host the event. First time you host the event, you have no idea how you're going to convert. It might convert at 0%, it might convert at 50% for the back-end conversion rate into your high-ticket program. I do want to make sure that you are rest assured when you're pitching to someone who has already paid you a certain amount of money to be there, they're actually attending and showing up, they've been nurtured for a few days, they've spent a good few hours with you, they are going to be much more likely to convert as compared to a one-on-one sales call typically. But the other part is that you really don't know how it's going to convert. So the first event is technically, at the end of the day, it's a guessing game. So after you do, I would say, host your first event, after you understand kind of what your baseline performance is, you understand that you could actually go rerun that event month 2, month 3, month 4, or the very next week, etc. And you're going to be able to maintain that conversion rate as long as the lead source stays the same. So ideally, you're not relying on your organic traffic to be buying these paid events. Ideally, you do have some ad spend behind it, because that way you're always getting cold traffic into it. And if you know that you convert, call it 20% to cold traffic that's actually attending the event, it will almost always be 20% unless something drastic changes. Typically, what we've actually found is that when clients rehost their event month over month, they actually increase their conversion rate because they're actually able to continue to optimize what they did from the last event, and they're getting better and they're getting better and they're getting better. It's a compounding effect. So that's what we've personally found. Obviously, you might be different. I'm not sure how special you are or how unique your case is, but I would encourage, if you decide to go down this paid event route, that you make sure you are rehosting the same event rather than trying to come up with a new event topic every single time. The point is to, once again, convert brand new cold top of funnel traffic into clients during the event, not by just using this as like a pipeline clearing event for all of the people that have kind of been on the fence for a while, which that will still happen. You will still get sales from both traffic sources. Now, I know there are a lot of nuances to the entire paid event strategy, and would this work for your specific brand? Would it not work for your offer, et cetera, et cetera? There are a lot of questions. Feel free, if you have any questions, drop them below in the comments, or obviously click around some other videos on our channel, as we do produce videos on a weekly basis talking about paid events and really scaling up high-ticket programs. And if you'd like our specific help by planning, hosting, and even converting and selling your next event, we'd be more than happy to talk about what that could look like, or even if it would make sense. Definitely click on the link in the description, and you'd be able to find out all the information on what that looks like for us to be able to partner up with you in a white glove fashion to be able to host and scale up your next paid event. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you'd like more information on, once again, scaling up your high-ticket offer and your business overall, definitely give this a like or subscribe to the channel, and we'll produce more videos each and every single week for you.